A civil society group is calling on the federal government to fix all 4 refineries in Nigeria in order to save the country from trillions of naira spent on oil subsidy. This year, about 3 trillion naira is expected to be spent on subsidy. And the group insists that not removing subsidy before now had caused the continued increase in the pump price of fuel. Speaking on behalf of the civil society groups of good governance, Ogakwu Dominic says with the new Petroleum Industry Act and the transitioning of the NNPC to a limited liability company under CAMA, Nigerians now expect more transparency and accountability in the country's petroleum industry.
A key area of concern in Nigeria's fuel subsidy bill, which is growing faster and bigger than what our country's economy can carry. If you all recall, it was stated recently that the country needs to spend a princely 3 trillion naira on subsidy in 2022. In the light of this humongous sum, we join well-meaning Nigerians in calling on the federal government to speed up the rehabilitation of the refineries to improve availability of products locally and reduce importation.
Subsidy should have been removed before now. Not removing it before now is what is causing the present cost. Imagine 3 trillion to subsidize for fuel. That is too alarming. And no society, no economy survives under such condition. So removing subsidy, fuel subsidy is very imperative. As a matter of fact, Nigerians should support it entirely because it's long overdue and we must take that bold step now.
And to speak further to this issue, we're now being joined by Ogakwu Dominic. He is the president of the Civil Society Groups for Good Governance. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And of course, just going off of the back of what you had spoken about there, the fact that subsidy is unsustainable. And even though a lot of people had kicked against the fact that the government did not cover for subsidy beyond June, now we've seen the government backtrack on its decision to remove subsidy. But generally now, Nigerians are having a mixed reaction. But you as a civil society, do you think the decision by the government is actually extending the evil day?
However you want to look at it, the issue of subsidy has been laid to rest today in our press conference. We want Nigerians to be aware that subsidy is still existing and that as far as our refineries are not fixed, we'll continue to pay highly as a matter of fact. One thing is certain. We're expecting that before the close of the year, the Dangote refinery will take off. And with that, we can have hope for the country. But as long as we are still depending on importation of fuel, the issue of subsidy will remain with us. They can play politics with it. They can say we want to take out subsidy, we don't want to take out subsidy. But as long as our refineries are not working, subsidy must continue.
Subsidy must continue, and even in that press conference, I saw where you mentioned the fact that, the 3 refineries we currently have, one in Kaduna, Port Harcourt, and the one in Delta State needs to function, but they are functioning, and I do know that more monies have actually been budgeted for them to be refurbished, but it hasn't given us a solution since we actually discovered oil in Nigeria. But beyond all of that right now, Nigeria, as it's instituted, especially looking at the PIA I signed into law by the president. Is it enough, for us to continue producing and exporting while we await Dangote refinery, that is? Is it enough for us to sustain the economy the way it is going right now, looking at our local refineries that we have in the country?
The truth of the matter is what is very apparent is that the new NNPC management, for the first time, is actually riding on transparency. Don't forget, they have declared their account after 44 years. This is unprecedented in the history of the operations of NNPC. Again, they have come out openly to tell you that there is subsidy. A lot of people try to shield that away, to say there's no subsidy, there's subsidy and all that. But they have come out to tell you that they are going to spend 3 trillion. And funny enough, to be very open, I'm sure it will go up because the price of oil is going up. Don't forget, these people will not be telling you about subsidy if they have their personal interest. But you can be sure that they are telling you so that you can hold the government accountable because the government is not doing enough. That's the way I look at it. Because if the refineries is really committed, they are committed to making these refineries work. I'm sure before, in 2 to 3 years, we should have come up with all this, and that would have been done and dusted.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about another pivotal issue right now, which is the fact that we've seen one explosion too many. You must agree with me, especially in the Niger Delta region, looking at the oil spill, especially looking at, you know, the degradation of the environment in that area, and you being a key player in that industry. Let's talk about the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency. How far would you say they've performed really in helping out?
Well, there are a lot of factors. One of it is the activities of vandals. There are a lot of people who are oil bunkers and all that. And then the weather too has actually not helped in a high way to actually help in trying to stop these things. Yes, we have had a lot of explosion, and this explosion, I'm sure, we are actually trying to ask questions. We are probing the matter as civil society organizations. We are trying to see if we can get the reason for this explosion. But one of it I must tell you is the activities of vandals. Firstly, of those who are oil bunkers, who are into bunkery and smuggling, basically, have actually given rise to all this. And then I can also say maybe the weather. You know, during Harmattan and all that, you can be sure that fire is more frequent than normal. So, but on the whole, by the time we get the report from the agency, which we have requested for, we'll be able to have a clear understanding of actually what's going on.
And briefly, how can we prevent this from happening in the future? Briefly.
I think, like what I was trying to say today is that there needs to be citizen awareness, citizen action in terms of the oil sector.
Okay.
The NNPC is doing a lot, especially with now that it has been made a public liability company. I'm sure they are more transparent, and we can ask more questions.
Okay, so now we can expect more.
We can expect more from them.
All right, so I would have to say thank you so much for joining me tonight in the studio there. Comrade, I would have to say. Thank you for being here.